I used to work here. This building is probably one of the most striking buildings in the financial district of downtown Toronto. Every morning people exit this station, Union Station, and they get up and they go to work in this building right here. And for about 3 years, I was one of those people too. That is, up until about a week ago when I quit. This quote comes from Henry Thoreau, who famously stated it in his book Walden. And up until recently, I was one of these people leading a life of quiet desperation. Maybe you can relate. The way that I knew I was living this life is because there was only one particular time of day that I would enjoy my time at work. And that's when I got up from my desk, I walked down the hall, and I walked into the bathroom. And then I opened up the stall, sat down, probably pulled out my phone, and then let out a sigh. Maybe you can relate to that too. I had a job that paid me over $70,000 per year with great benefits, great security, and even great people that I worked with. And actually did mention to my former colleagues that I was starting a YouTube channel, so I guess now is a good time as ever to say hi everyone from work. But even with all that, I still wasn't happy. Why? Because I was deeply unsatisfied. I was doing something all day that left me feeling this way. I was hesitant to admit this to other people, let alone myself. I know that there's people watching this right now who feel the exact same way. I know for a fact there's people watching this video right now who relish the time they go and take in the bathroom at work. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's a way out. Today I want to share with you how and why I quit my corporate job. And I want to start with the how, because I'm hoping that this video can serve as a blueprint for people who are looking to make a similar change in their lives. My philosophy I had to approach quitting my job with was almost like breaking out of a prison. It started with a rough idea, a spark of hope. And for me, this was to create an online education platform to teach people about personal finance. So I planted this idea carefully inside my mind and my heart over 2 years ago, and I nurtured it. I had a small period of time I could dedicate to this little seedling of an idea every day after I got home from work. So I would take that small opportunity to water it, fertilize it, and focus on it every single day. But during these few hours I had every day, I had to really get after it. I had to attack it. You really have to act like your future depends on it. Because it does. So as I was building this project, I realized that I needed to create a window of opportunity for myself, just like a prison break. This meant saving up enough money so that I could essentially buy that window of opportunity. So I did that by saving $90,000 in 3 years. And that's a story that I told in another video that you can check out if you haven't seen it yet. But basically what I did was I just used a lot of discipline to allow myself to save over 50% of my income in this city where the cost of living is just astronomical. But I knew that every single dollar that I tucked away was a dollar that I was using to buy my window of opportunity. And eventually that small window became a large window. One big enough for me to fit through. But I had to have something waiting for me on the other side. I had to have my getaway car ready as soon as I broke out. And right now, you're looking at that car. This YouTube channel, my mission to share personal finance education, is that car. I posted my first video on YouTube just before the end of last year, but that's not when I actually started. I've been nurturing this idea, this plan behind the scenes for a few years now. It takes time, it takes focus, and it takes dedication. But the good news is everybody has these things. You have some amount of time, even if it's just minutes. You also have focus and dedication. You don't have to buy these things. Everybody has them. You just have to use them the right way. Get yourself out of there before you get shackled in golden handcuffs. Get out before you need to earn $150,000 to pay for the 5-bedroom house you only use 15% of. Get out before that Honda Civic becomes a BMW. Because once those things happen, you won't be able to quit your job and do what you want. As Shia LaBeouf famously said in my very first video,
"Just do it! Make your dreams come true!"
Do you know what this is? This is a ceiling. I had a salary, so this was my ceiling. But I mean, don't get me wrong, salaries are great if you're happy with that. They're predictable, they're stable, and you can build a good life off of one. But if you're craving a change like I was, then just tear that sucker off. Because now, do you want to know what your ceiling can look like? That's right, there isn't one. That up there is your earning potential unrestrained by any salary that you signed off on. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that my earnings are going to increase from the size of that box to the size of the universe, but I mean, hey, that would be great. But that's not the point. The point is that my earnings are now under my control. At my old job, sure, I could ask for a raise or change positions, and then maybe I'd get a bump in pay, but it probably wouldn't be that large. And also on top of that, here's another piece of the string that becomes more unraveled. I'm not getting paid for my commute home or my personal time when I'm not at work. Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, obviously, Steve, why would you be getting paid for those times when you're not working? Well, I'd like to show you something that might help kind of open your mind in this area. Okay, so I'm just about to go to bed here, and obviously I'm not going to be working tonight while I sleep, so I shouldn't be getting paid, right? Well, actually, because this business works on my behalf 24 hours a day based on the work that I put into it, I'm actually going to get paid while I sleep tonight, so yeah, somehow my sleeps have been a little bit easier lately. Okay, check this out. I want to show you something really interesting, but you're going to have to bear with me because my handwriting is really badly. But let's say that you're somebody who makes $20 per hour and you work 40 hours per week. So this means that during that week, you're going to be making $800 per hour. So that's not bad, that's great. But here's the problem with this. You see this here, this $20 per hour, this is stuck. You don't have control over that. Whatever contract or agreement you signed off on at work, that's locking that wage in at that price. And on top of that, this is probably stuck too. This is probably also determined by whatever agreement you signed on to become employed with your employer. You're not going to be working more or less than that, which means ultimately this $800 per week, is also stuck. But let's say you become self-employed. Now guess what? This $20 per hour is now under your control to some degree. This 40 hours per week is very much under your control. You can choose exactly how much you want to work. And if you have control over the $20 per hour also, then that means that this $800 per week is also very much under your own control. I think of it like investing in the stock market. At the start, and even for a long time sometimes, nothing really interesting happens for a while monetarily. But eventually, you can get to a place where you're watching a snowball that you built roll down the hill at full speed and pick up ever increasing amounts of snow with it. And guess what? Your hands are completely off the snowball at this point. It's just rolling on its own. So you might be wondering, aren't you scared? Of course I'm scared. You should be scared to take risks. It's risky. But do you know why Bilbo Baggins packed his bag, grabbed a walking stick, and set foot on an adventure that would change his life? It was because he was more scared of not taking that risk. He was more scared of a life of dull complacency in the Shire where he was all but guaranteed security. So if you like reality TV, then subscribe to my channel because this is going to be as real as it gets. There was two paths before me. One was well lit by the sun. The terrain was well defined. It was easy to walk on. And there would be plenty of people beside me. The other path was much more unclear. It's bathed in moonlight, but the surrounding trees make it so hard to see the way. And it's scary. You don't know what's out there. But do you know where that first path leads? Quiet desperation. So I took the path less followed because even though it will be immensely more challenging, I know where it leads. To my true destiny, whatever that may be. This is how I'll discover who I truly am, not by taking craps in a corporate bathroom stall.